So welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to lecture number 3 of Geography and Environment in this lecture series called Prelims Powerplay 2026. Through this lecture series, you will get to revise your entire syllabus for UPSC Prelims, the entire syllabus, current affairs as well as static portion. And you don't have to follow any magazine for current affairs, whether it's monthly current affairs or PT 365s, nothing at all. Just follow this lecture series. Just give me 1 hour every day from 9 p.m. till 10 p.m. Just 1 hour from today till your prelims examination and everything would be covered. You don't have to refer to any other source. This lecture series will do, trust me. But to successfully get the advantage of this lecture series, well, you don't have to just watch this lecture. Along with watching this lecture or this lecture series, you have to revise and memorize the lecture from the notes. Then you will definitely have doubts. You have to ask your doubts there and then. We'll be enrolling you in WhatsApp groups. So you can ask your doubts over there 24/7. Those WhatsApp groups are open. And then along with this lecture series, you'll be getting a test series, an exhaustive list of tests you will be attempting. Please attempt those. Be regular with the test series. So these are the 4 golden steps you have to follow if you really want to take the advantage of this lecture series. Watch the lecture, revise and memorize it from the notes, ask your doubts, and be regular with the test series. So these are the 4 steps. Now, as far as the first step is concerned, you will get these lectures on YouTube regularly. But the other 3 steps, the notes, the WhatsApp groups, the tests, these other 3 steps, for them, well, you will have to register on our app or on our website. The link to both registration for app or website are given in the comment section below. So just click on the link, whether it's an app or the website, and register for this and follow these 4 golden steps. If you have any difficulty while registering, there is a number also that is given along with these links. Just WhatsApp us on that number and everything would be covered. We will take it forward from there. Okay? But be regular with this lecture series. Just 1 hour of your day and everything would be covered. So be regular, okay? All right then. Let's begin today's discussion. And our today's topic of discussion would be Sustainable Development Goals. Okay? There is a lot of talk, there is a lot of conversation, there is a lot of discussion with respect to Sustainable Development Goals in the media, in the newspapers. And this discussion is important for your exam as well, especially prelims exam. You know why Sustainable Development Goals are important this particular year, in this year? Well, it's because 10 years have passed since the launch of Sustainable Development Goals. It's the 10th anniversary. Okay? So that is why everyone is writing about India's progress towards these Sustainable Development Goals. On this 10th anniversary of SDGs, well, we'll talk about India's progress. But in this lecture, we will cover SDGs in its totality. We'll talk about what are SDGs, what is its history, what are the different indices to measure the progress of countries as well as states and UTs in India. We'll talk about everything. You don't have to refer to any other source when it comes to Sustainable Development Goals. Everything would be given in your notes, consolidated in one single file, PDF file. Okay, so let's begin with Sustainable Development Goals. All right. So Geography and Environment, lecture number 3, Sustainable Development Goals. Okay. So these are the Sustainable Development Goals. As you can see, it is a set of 17 goals, okay, which every country that is a member of United Nations has to achieve by 2030. Okay, so it's a 15-year time period. These were launched in 2015. So the implementation period started in 2016. From 16 to 2030, in 15 years, you have to achieve all these 17 targets. Okay. Now, what are these Sustainable Development Goals? Let's talk about this. So about SDGs, these are a set of 17 interconnected global goals adopted by UN in 2015. Okay, these were adopted by UN in 2015 and these 17 sustainable goals are part of 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Okay, so what happened was there was this summit called Sustainable Development Summit that was held in New York in 2015. Over there, this Agenda for Sustainable Development was adopted. Within this Agenda for Sustainable Development are these 17 global goals, which all countries, all member states of the UN have to follow and achieve. Simple, okay? I'll give you certain examples of these Sustainable Development Goals, but just wait for a second, okay? The adoption involved all 193 member countries making the SDGs a universal commitment to achieving sustainable development worldwide. by 2030. Okay. Now, one more thing. Who developed these sustainable development goals? We have 17 sustainable development goals. Who developed them? There must have been a lot of discussions between different groups, okay, before coming out with these 17 sustainable development goals. Okay. So a lot of discussions happened in the background. Who spearheaded these discussions? Well, number one, it was United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, and a special group was established called Open Working Group on Sustainable Development Goals. It was established in 2013, and these two bodies spearheaded the development of these SDGs. Okay, they had a lot of discussions with experts, scientists, social scientists, and then they did a lot of brainstorming sessions. And then finally in 2015, they came out with these 17 sustainable development goals. Okay. Now, to understand sustainable development goals, well, you need to understand the idea of sustainable development, right? So what is the idea of sustainable development? You are aware of development. Okay. Development means human development. Okay. There should be no poverty. There should be good health for all. Okay. Good education. There are so many other things. Okay. Development is simple. Everyone knows about it. Water facility, electricity facility, health facilities, education facilities, poverty reduction, all these things are part of development. But what do you mean by sustainable development? So when you add the word sustainable development, it means that we have to take care of development. But for this development, we cannot exhaust all the resources that Earth has to offer. Because development is okay. When we talk about development, we are talking about the present generation. But when we add the term sustainable, we are also talking about future generations. Okay. So do this development, but not at the cost of future generations. Okay. Because sometimes we take care of development, but while developing, we destroy the environment, we exhaust all its resources. And when we do that, the present generation is getting developed, but the future generations won't have a good planet. They won't inherit a good planet where they can take care of their own development. Okay. So development everyone knows, but when you add the term sustainable, we are also talking about future generations development. For this, there is a specific term that is coined. Okay. Use this term in your mains answers, but we are not talking about, well, mains examination. We are only focusing on prelims, but still remember this term. Okay. This term is called intergenerational equity. Okay. So development takes care of or talks about equitable growth, that all castes, all classes, all genders, there should be equitable growth for all. But when you add the word sustainable, well, then intergenerational equity is also added. So along with social development, along with economic development, you'll also focus on the environment. So normal development only focuses on socio-economic development, but sustainable development focuses on socio-economic plus environmental development. Make sense? So keeping all of that in mind, we develop these 17 goals. So you can see some of the examples of these 17 goals. Okay. No poverty, goal number 1, zero hunger, good health, quality education, gender equality, clean water, sustainable cities, reduced inequality. Okay. All these things. Now, just remember one more thing, one more detail about sustainable development goals. Okay. The thing is that the goals are 17, but these are vague goals. Now, to achieve these goals, well, every goal has certain targets. So, for example, to achieve no poverty, there are, let's suppose, 3 targets that you have to achieve. Okay. Zero malnourishment, zero maternal mortality rate, zero infant mortality rate, all these things are there. Then for zero hunger, there are 3-4 targets, and so on and so forth. Every goal has certain targets. So collectively, remember this number. There are 17 goals, and to achieve these 17 goals, you have to achieve total of 169 targets. Remember this, because every goal has certain number of targets, or you can call them sub-goals. Sub-goals. Right? So 17 goals and 169 targets are there. Simple. Okay. Now, first, let's talk about historical evolution of this idea of sustainable development. Okay. How did this idea come about? That we shouldn't only focus on development, we should also focus on sustainable developments. sustainable development. And then while focusing on sustainable development, we have to achieve these 17 goals. Okay, so let's talk about historical evolution of these SDGs. Okay, very important. So historical evolution. So for the very first time when the idea of sustainable development came about was 1972. So in 1972, there was this conference, UN Conference on Human Environment in Stockholm. And it gave the idea of sustainable development because up till 1972, the focus was development. But then it was decided that we need to focus on environment along with development. And hence, the term sustainable development came into being. Okay, the idea of sustainable development came into being. Okay, so this was, well, UN Conference on Environment, Human Environment in Stockholm. Some people call it Stockholm Conference also. Okay, and it is in this conference also that, well, United Nations Environment Program also got established. The idea of sustainable development came about, and this laid the foundation of formation of UNEP. So remember this. Then in 1983, a commission was established to inquire into this idea of sustainable development. Okay, it was called World Commission on Environment and Development, but popularly known as Brundtland Commission because its chairman was Brundtland. Okay, so some people call it Brundtland Commission or World Commission. The official name is World Commission on Environment and Development. Along with development, you have to focus on environment as well, right? So it was created, and it was created in 1983. They took around 4 years to publish their report. In 1987, they came out with their report. Brundtland Commission submitted its report, and the title of the report was Our Common Future. Our Common Future. So every person on the planet, the entire humanity has a common future. Okay, and that is this planet. And it's not just this generation, but the future generation as well. Okay, this report basically defined what is sustainable development. They gave a proper definition of sustainable development. So if someone asks you who gave the first definition of sustainable development, it was Brundtland Commission's report called Our Common Future. And what was their definition? Development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. Again, the idea of intergenerational equity came into being. Okay, this was given in Brundtland Commission's report. This report linked social development, economic development, and environment. You cannot ignore environment when you're talking about socio-economic development. You have to take them together. And it was there that the idea of sustainable development was, well, partially formed. Okay, but the historical evolution is still not over. There were few other events also before SDGs were finalized. Okay, what were those events? So, in 1992, well, Earth Summit took place in Rio de Janeiro. Okay, Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It is that summit which led to the formation of UNFCCC, Framework Convention on Climate Change. Climate change was central focus. Convention on Biodiversity became central focus in this Earth Summit only. And within this Earth Summit, well, more than 178 countries adopted Agenda 21, a global action plan to promote sustainable development. So Earth Summit in Brazil, in Rio, was a landmark summit, which led to the formation of UNFCCC, CBD, but also led to the formation of Agenda 21, a global action plan for all countries, okay, to do sustainable development. Okay, then in 2000, well, the first step towards achieving sustainable development was taken. Millennium Summit took place, which led to Millennium Development Goals. So before SDGs came into being, there were MDGs. Okay, Millennium Development Goals. They were launched in 2000, and the time period was 15 years only. All these Millennium Development Goals, these 8 goals, have to be achieved by 2015. This was adopted. So Millennium Summit led to the Millennium Development Goals, a set of 8 goals aimed primarily at reducing extreme poverty by 2015. Okay, so Millennium Development Goals were going on, and while they were about to end, in 2012, another conference took place in Rio, and it was called Rio Plus 20, because Earth Summit took place in Rio, and after 20 years, 1992, and 20 years after that, 2012. So Rio Plus 20 conference took place. Okay, a decision to create a new universal set of goals which will replace MDGs was taken. In 2012, a new decision was taken that MDGs are about to end in 2015, so we need another set of goals, better set of goals. And that's when, in 2015, 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development was formally adopted at UN Sustainable Development Summit in New York. And within this agenda, there were 17 SDGs that were adopted. These 17 SDGs cover social indicators, economic as well as environmental objectives. And you all know what these sustainable development goals are. We have seen them. Okay, no poverty, no hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, clean energy, renewable energy, decent work, okay, livelihood, economic growth, industrial innovation, reduced inequality, sustainable cities, responsible consumption, zero wastage, climate action, life below water, life on land, okay, peace, justice, and partnership for the goals, global partnership. So all these are 17 goals. Clear? Now it has been 10 years since these 17 sustainable development goals were adopted. It has been 10 years since the time India started working on these sustainable development goals. Okay, India started on the work on them right from the beginning. So it has been 10 years. That is why it is important to note the progress of everyone with respect to sustainable development goals. Progress of the entire world on these 17 goals and progress of India also. To measure the progress of India as well as the world, there is a particular index called SDG index. So we'll talk about this, okay? So progress towards sustainable development goals, okay? So when we talk about progress of all countries, global progress, then we have this SDG index, okay? And India also has developed its own index to measure the progress of different states and UTs. That is called SDG India Index. So we need to know about both of them. Okay, SDG Index for global, SDG India Index for Indian states and UTs. Okay, so first let's talk about this global index, SDG Index. So every year a report is published called Sustainable Development Report. And in this Sustainable Development Report, every year Sustainable Development Index is released. In this Sustainable Development Index, well, the progress of different countries is measured, quantitative data is sought, measured, a score is given to each country, and then these countries are given a ranking. Simple, okay? So SDR, an annual publication presenting the SDG index results along with in-depth analysis, trends, challenges, and policy recommendations. So the latest one was SDR 25. Okay, now about SDG index, it is a global ranking and monitoring tool for tracking progress of countries towards SDGs. Now, who developed SDGs? Remember the name because an MCQ can be asked. Who makes this SDG index? Okay, it was developed by Sustainable Development Solutions Network, SDSN, and Bertelsmann Stiftung. It's an NGO of sorts. Okay, Bertelsmann Stiftung. It's a German NGO. Okay, German or Swedish. Don't know the country, but remember the name. Okay, but remember this SDSN. They have created this SDG index to measure the progress every year. Okay. Now, it is a global indicator framework for SDGs. It consists of approximately 230 indicators. So they measure the progress of each and every country on these 230 indicators. These indicators were developed by UN interagency and expert groups on SDG indicators. So remember this name as well. So who gave the indicators? Them. Who develops this index? SDSN. Clear? Now, what has been the progress so far? What does the latest SDR report say? What does the latest SDR report say? SDR 2025. Okay. So some details about SDR 25, though more details are given in your notes, but some details are here. SDR 2025. So it was the 10th edition. So Finland has been ranked first in SDG index with a score of 87, followed by Sweden and Denmark. Scandinavian countries always come on top. Okay. So Finland was top. On average, East and South Asia have shown the fastest progress. Yes, East and South Asia were pretty behind, but they have grown considerably. Their progress has been fast. That doesn't mean that South Asia does well. They have just grown very fast. Okay, and that's basically because of socio-economic, not environmental, socio-economic indicators. Okay, only 17% of SDG targets are on track to be achieved by 2030. This is a bad thing. For the first time, India ranks among top 100 in SDG index at 99 in 2025 with a score of 67. So India came in top 100 for the first time this time around. Now, there are certain other points or certain other details about India's performance as per this SDR 2025, very general things. They are also given in your notes, so do check that out. Okay. And now let's move on to India's own SDG index, okay, which is called SDG India Index. Okay. So this is SDG India Index. Remember, who releases SDG India Index? Niti Aayog. Now, this is not an annual exercise, okay? The first survey came in 2018, then it was 1920, 2021, and because of lockdown, there was a delay. The latest survey of SDG India Index that is available to us is 2023-24. And as per Niti Aayog's SDG India Index, we have been constantly improving. Overall, India's score improved from 57 to 71 overall. But this index is there to give you details about different states and UTs as well, right? So let's talk about SDG India Index, okay? So it is released by Niti Aayog to measure and track the process of Indian states and UTs towards achieving SDGs by 2030, okay? Now remember, Sustainable Development Goals are 17, but SDG India Index basically skips one goal, avoids one goal. So it measures progress on 16 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Goal 14's performance is not measured. Life below water is excluded due to regional relevance because there are only a few coastal states which have to take care of life below water. Okay, so goal 14 has been omitted. All the other Sustainable Development Goals are included in SDG India Index. Remember this part. It uses 113 indicators aligned with India's National Indicator Framework, which is developed by Ministry of Statistics. The most recent report covering 23-24 showed an overall improvement in India's composite score. Okay, as you can see, it is 71 now. And Kerala and Uttarakhand topped the list. Okay, now as per SDG India Index report, okay, every state or UT is given a score. And based on their score, they are put into following 4 categories. So the score is given from 0 to 100. And based on your score, you are put in a particular category. 4 categories are there. If you have a score of 100, that is the perfect score, you will be called an achiever state. Okay. If your score is between 65 to 99, these states and UTs are called front runners. If the score is between 50 to 64, these states are called performers. And if your state or UT's performance is below 50, you're called an aspirant. Okay, simple. There was a significant increase in the number of states and UTs classified as front runners, with 32 states in this category up from 22. So the number of states in front runner category have also increased as per the latest report. Few other things are also available. Few other points that were released in this report, they are given in your notes. Okay, all right. Now, certain key facts about SDG India Index. So how are the indicators selected? Indicators are relevant to UN SDGs and national priorities with data ownership consent from respective ministries. Data is taken from respective ministries. How are targets set? National targets for 2030 are set by either Government of India, UN SDG targets, or based on state performances. Then score is given on each target. Okay. State-wise data is normalized into scores. So the data on the performance of individual states is taken and then it is converted into scores, which is called normalization between 0 to 100. Okay. Then score on each target is taken and an average is taken. That is known as overall index score. Okay. So score on each goal is taken and then an average is taken, which is a composite score. So this thing you need to know. Clear? So this is how we measure performance. Now one more thing. India is aggressively going towards sustainable development. India really wants to achieve all sustainable development goals by 2030. Now, what has been India's approach so far to achieve these sustainable development goals? Okay. So India's approach has been whole of government approach. All targets, the entire SDG framework is well divided between center, states, UTs, and it is also divided horizontally between different ministries. Everyone is given a target. Then data-driven competitive federalism. What do you mean by competitive federalism? Well, states are competing with each other. There are different indices like SDG India Index, which gives a ranking. So states are competing with each other to better themselves. So this is good. Then specifically for Northeastern region, there is an SDG index for every district. So localization is there. SDGs are institutionalized in every government ministry and department. Okay. Plus, India's entire developmental approach is now integrated with SDGs. So all government schemes like aspirational districts program or many other government schemes, they now take into account SDGs. So government has integrated SDGs with its entire developmental approach. This has been the approach. Still, there are many states that are falling behind. Some states are doing good, but many states are falling behind. Now, why? Why India is not doing that well when it comes to SDGs? Surely there are some issues. Now, what are those issues? Well, lack of data availability. Well, some ministries are very good at collecting data and giving it to the government, but some ministries are not that good. So data on key indicators is not available. Then there are regional disparities. States like Bihar and Jharkhand are not doing that well, whereas Kerala and Uttarakhand are. So there is a considerable gap, inequality. Then some states don't have the money to implement these goals. So financial constraints. Then some government departments are not coordinating with each other. So these are governance related issues. Plus the thing is that, well, to achieve socio-economic development, the easier path is to pollute the environment. Set up an industry, it will pollute, but it will generate wealth. Okay, you have to balance environment with economic growth. That is a difficult challenge. So this is there. And then pandemic after effects. India did do a lot to achieve sustainable development goals, but all that progress vanished in these 2-3 years during the pandemic. So it has put us back. Now we have to catch up from where we were before the pandemic and then grow further. So these are some of the issues. Clear? And that would be all. With that, we conclude today's session. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure this lecture has added value to your preparation. Remember, an MCQ can be asked in your next prelims examination from this topic. By the way, you don't have to refer to any other source for sustainable development goals. Okay, the notes given along with this lecture are sufficient. That's all. Okay, all right. But do not forget to memorize the notes, ask your doubts, and be regular with the test. These 3 things are extremely important along with watching this lecture. Okay, so yeah, that would be all from my side, guys. I shall see you next time with another topic in this lecture series called Prelims Powerplay. Thank you, everyone.